Where did the last 2 years go? Can't quite believe it. It's a real mixture of emotions as I stand here now to give my exit address as president of the IPA and also to welcome Ian. Ian, I can remember my trepidation 2 years ago, just to make you feel better. But I can safely say that you've got absolutely nothing to worry about because you have only positive and wonderful things to come. You will get back from this role even more than you give. You're going to have great experiences, great learnings, and in 2 years' time you will have great memories. I feel incredibly privileged to have been leading the industry at such a dynamic time. Our 2-year Creative Pioneers agenda was fit for purpose. We raised our profile internationally, we built in new ways of tackling digital, we brought diversity and new blood into our industry. Metro, Google, Facebook, and Advertising Week all partnered with us to amplify our programs and to operate at scale. And I have to say, I have particularly enjoyed my involvement in Google Squared and the Creative Pioneers Challenge, both of which I'm very happy to say will outlive me. Now, in my time as president, we've also got closer to government, we've taken an active role in skills and talent with Creative Skillset, and we've worked on inward investment and promotion with UKTI. And as I leave the IPA presidency, I'm going to continue to pioneer for the industry in my capacity as industry chair of the government's Creative Industries Council. Now, despite these dramatic highlights, perhaps one of the most satisfying moments for me personally of my entire time as president came with the launch of the Women of Tomorrow Awards in partnership with Campaign magazine. As the first woman president, it had always been my mission to honour International Women's Day by profiling the best and brightest of the next generation of women in our business. And I'm also thrilled that as I stand down from the presidency, that I will continue to sit on a council that has over 30% female representation. And I think we should be really proud of ourselves for that number. So a really big thank you to each and every one of you here today who has made the last 2 years so fulfilling. I've been genuinely proud of what we've been able to achieve together. Do you know what? We are a formidable bunch. And we are lucky, and we are so lucky actually, to be supported and inspired by what is without doubt the Rolls-Royce of a trade association. And to all the people at the IPA, I salute you, and I have only the highest respect for each and every one of you. To Ian, when I told you that this day would take about half a day of your week, I was lying. I am sorry. But what I can assure you is that it will become an all-consuming passion. It will develop you and your business exponentially, as well as furthering the ambitions of our industry. I wish you only the best of British as you pick up the baton. I will always be here for you, and I have absolutely no doubt that you are going to be the most wonderful success. So without further ado from me, because this is what it's all about and what we have all been looking forward to, please welcome onto the stage our new president, Ian Priest.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Now, you're not going anywhere yet. Thank you so much for those lovely, lovely words. Really appreciated. But you're not going yet, right? What? Because we've got a little gift to give Nicola on behalf of the IPA. Now, I think we can all agree this lady has done an absolutely amazing job. She's... Your passion, your energy, your drive, your commitment, and your achievements have been just quite incredible. Now, we all know that, but what we don't know is how you've done it. How's she done it? Because you somehow one of these people who can multitask, which I certainly can't. You sort of juggle many roles. You seem to turn up at hundreds of events on time. And I thought it was you had some sort of secret superwoman, sort of Wonder Woman powers. You went into sort of, I don't know, telephone boxes and somehow changed and flew off here. But I found out you don't. You've got some little secret. You get round town on one of these motorbikes, motorbike taxis. And so we thought one of the gifts that we should give Nicola is something that's very appropriate and practical, but also something that will remind her of her time at the IPA and such a fabulous president. And I have it here.
Slightly worried now.
And you've got to put it on.
Uh-oh. That's very funny.
That's for you.
I've also got a marvellous PA, Anne Hunter, who's in the room, and I couldn't do anything without her, so she's over there. That is hilarious.
I'll let you sit down now, but you're going to have to put
Thank
it on.
You. Okay.
So it's my go now, isn't it? Nicola, you've certainly set the bar impressively high for me to follow. It would have been nice if it was a little bit lower, though, I have to say. So as well as now feeling slightly daunted, following in your footsteps, I also feel very honoured to be your new president. The same emotions as back in December when I was invited out to lunch by Paul and I knew something was up when Rory turned up. Now, obviously, they invited me to take on this new role. And having been given the news, I proudly rang my wife, Virginia. You'll never guess what, darling, but I've just been asked to be the next IPA president. I could hear my kids squabbling in the back of the car. Virginia said, IP what? Next thing I know, one of the kids has grabbed the phone, and that's it. That's all I get. Not quite the adulation I was hoping for. A couple of hours later, though, I did get a lovely text from Virginia, belatedly congratulating me on my news. But she's not in the advertising industry. She Googled IPA. So she finished off her text with a question. Which IPA are you going to be president of? Is it the Insolvency Practitioners Association, the International Psychoanalysts Association, or has it got anything to do with the Green King Brewery? So seemingly like Virginia, many of you may not know me in terms of my background in advertising, because I'm not exactly that most high-profile candidate or ad man to get this role of president. As Claire Beale, a couple of months ago, went out to lunch, and she said, "You were a bit of a dark horse to get that role, weren't you?" And when you add the fact that I haven't been in the campaign A-list for the last 3 years, you have to agree she did have a point. So please spare me a few minutes to fill you in on my journey through our fabulous industry, as it will also set the context for where I'm heading with my agenda over the next 2 years. So as a teenager, growing up in the 70s, I admired a golden era of advertising. So when the time came, there was only one job for me. I was lucky enough to join the DMB&B group in the mid-80s, working for sales promotion agency called IMP. And there's a few IMPers in this room today, including Mr. Satterthwaite, who was MD at the time. Here I learnt the skills of free, win, and save. And bog off, I seem to remember. And became an expert in gondola ends, bottle collars, and a particular expertise of mine, shelf wobblers. In all seriousness, though, it did give me a fantastic grounding, what I would call the commercial side of our business, as literally we lived or died on how successful we were at promoting our clients' products. As time went on, we developed our skills into the world of direct marketing, working alongside our brothers and sisters in advertising, whom we used to sort of look across to, gaze across to in their world of big ideas, TV shoots, and large media budgets. In fact, there's one of them there, Mr. Hinton. Clients increasingly wanted both above and below the line skills, and so the term integrated became the buzzword of the day. 6 of us then decided to leave DMB&B and join up with creative ad agency Hal Henry. And this was in the early 90s, with the aim of delivering a genuinely new, integrated offering to our clients. It was here that I entered the more creative phase of my career, being part of an agency that delivered some famously creative work for Tango, Pot Noodles, Ron Seal, the AA, amongst others. Not only were we creative in the work we produced, we also tried to be creative in how we produced it. We pioneered tissue meetings. There were stand-up rooms only to speed up meetings. We hot desked. There were no departments. We only charged fees, no commission. In all honesty, some things we experimented with worked and some didn't. But there was certainly no shortage of creativity throughout. I left in 2001 as I was lucky enough to get the chance to start up my own agency, VCCP, table over there. And I picked 3 hand-picked demon partners. 2 of them here today. Where is Rooney, by the way, today? Do we know? Golf course. Oh, there we go. And we got very lucky. We had the chance to launch O2, the mobile brand, at the start of a digital era. It was on the back of O2 winning IPA's coveted Effectiveness Awards that I was asked to chair their Value of Advertising group, and I've stayed with the IPA ever since. We grew VCCP by trying to keep to our entrepreneurial roots, continuing to adapt our offering, introducing new products and services such as search, social, content, before it was fashionable to do so. VCCP is now part of Chime Communications, and I work across the whole group, adapting my skills and knowledge into the wider worlds of PR and sports marketing, looking at new startups both domestically and internationally. So I would call this 3rd phase of my career the entrepreneurial or adaptive stage. So there you have it. 3 words sum up my career to date: commercial, creative, and what I'm calling adaptive. Reflecting back, not only have I been lucky enough to work in agencies and alongside individuals who have taught me these 3 traits, but I've always admired agencies and individuals who've combined all 3 successfully. So less about me in the past. What about looking ahead, I hear you thinking? What has all this got to do with the agenda that I would like our industry to focus on during my presidency? Since December, I've been to see a number of you to get your views on the forces that are driving our industry. I've met with CEOs, planners, creatives, producers, from all types of creative and media agency, be they startups or established networks, from London, around the UK and internationally. And I've found that the same 3 things come up again and again. The need to be commercial, the need to be creative, and more, the need to be adaptive. Now, we all recognise that clients want us for our creativity. But more than that, they want us for our commercial creativity. Creativity that demonstrably adds value to their business, which in return adds value to ours. And in general, we're pretty good at it. The IPA's data bank is full of numerous examples of this commercial creativity. But it seems this message needs continually reinforcing to our clients, to their boards, to the wider community, as well as to ourselves, to ensure we are growing our position at the creative end of commerce. So commercial creativity will be at the core of my agenda. This is nothing new. It goes back to David Ogilvy's mantra, we sell or else. But what is new is the world we now live in and the need to adapt and evolve. Not only how we do it, but what we do to meet the challenges and opportunities of modern advertising. So why this need to adapt? Well, I thought, why don't we ask someone who knows a bit about that? The godfather of evolution, he's not quite around, but he's famous for saying the following. It's not the biggest or strongest of the species that survives, it's the ones that are most adaptable to change. Looking at our world of brands and advertising, Darwin might comment that one key element of our environment, the economy, is putting pressure on us all to focus more on the commercial side of commercial creativity as we strive to grow and increase profits. But as Andy Fennell from Diageo recently told me, creativity and commerciality should be seen less as a trade-off, but more as bedfellows in times of austerity. This is exactly when I need more commercial creativity, he said, when there is less resource around. My brands live or die on this. In other words, he is looking for more than just traditional advertising outputs. He wants genuinely creative inputs to achieve commercial outcomes. And this is the wider opportunity we all need to adapt to. The other main change in our environment Darwin would no doubt point to is the speed and take-up of digital technology in all aspects of our lives. Now, we know these, but the online economy will contribute more than 20% of the UK's GDP by 2016. That's more than any other major economy. Already, the internet takes a greater share of advertising in the UK than in any other market. Over 33% of ad spend is now digital. Now, as I say, we all know this. We're all living it as consumers. Smart mobile devices, connected platforms, big data, personalised media, the always-on world, they are changing the whole nature of relationships between consumers and brands and the way we communicate. We are operating in a period of dynamic change, in some ways in uncharted waters, where we are less in control of the conversation, working and being measured in real time. And are we as an industry adapting and innovating fast enough to these changes, these opportunities? In general, if we're honest with ourselves, probably not enough. So what should we be doing about it? Darwin would probably tell us to concentrate on the elements that we can directly influence and work not just on our own, but as a collective, as an industry. He would also probably recommend that we should be less insular and inward-facing in how we adapt. Evolve with your codependents and not on your own, he would say. And who are our closest codependents in our environment, without whom we wouldn't survive? Well, it's, of course, it's our clients. So my first action as president has been to invite a group of clients to join forces with the IPA and create what I have called the Client Council to help us shape our common future. It's being made up of a number of influential, forward-thinking opinion formers from a cross-section of industry sectors, all of whom work with IPA member agencies, both here and abroad. Coincidentally, many of them are ex-agency, with interesting perspectives from both sides of the fence. Here are some of them now on the screens around you, and a few are here today to join us on the journey to work with us to adapt to a new era of commercial creativity for our mutual gain. As well as many of you, I, alongside the researcher David Hopper here, have interviewed many of them to get their views. And I'll be showing some clips from our Client Council today to highlight some of the points and questions we are all asking ourselves. So across my 2-year presidency, my idea is to run a series of participative events where we literally roll our sleeves up and get stuck in to how we're going to adapt together with our clients in the style of a hackathon. We are going to kick these off in June with further events being planned every few months. We're going to ask our Client Council to join agency leaders to demonstrate how they are adapting to commercial creativity and debate areas of best practice for the benefit of all. Not only best practice, but also inspirational thought leadership to drive us all to greater places. We will invite IPA members and their clients to interact at these events, as well as through content we will share via selected marketing media partners, so that everyone in the wider client and agency community can get involved, all with the aim of sharing what works and hopefully outing what doesn't. So specifically, what are the areas we're going to look at? I've grouped them under 5 main headings: alliances, deliverables, actions, profit, and talent. Yes, the more alert of you would have spotted that's an acronym: ADAPT. So I'd like to start with the first, the A. The A for alliances. As I've already mentioned, our most important allies are our clients. So let's hear what some of our client counsel have to say.
I think it's a really good agenda, and I think it is a really timely agenda, because when you reflect on it, there is no question that clients need agencies and agencies need clients. Both sides of the equation are having a challenging time making the money that they want to make. For client companies, growing is pretty tough at the moment, and we all know that agencies struggle to make the profits that they have done in the past.
At a time when everything's changing so rapidly, we not only need to be very adaptive, I completely agree with that, because our choices are so much broader than they were in the past, even in the recent past. But we also have to remember what we're in the business of doing. We're in the business of building brands and selling them, preferably for higher prices. Most clients are for-profit organisations. They want to do good in the world too, but they're also in business for a commercial endeavour. And creativity is important, because if you're going to be more successful than the other guy, then you need to find a way of being fresh and interesting and distinctive.
It's through outstanding creativity that our brands become even more salient in the hearts and minds of consumers all over the world. And the Coca-Cola company has long held that belief that creativity is a competitive advantage. But then personally, even before I got to the Coca-Cola company, I did realize that actually some of the most dynamic organizations and the most dynamic brands from a creative perspective were also brands that were earning shareholders a disproportionate share of value.
There must be a mutual respect, and I do have an absolute respect of agency skills. I've spent most of my working life in agencies and I love them. But I do recognise that sometimes they don't kind of step beyond their own remit and try to help the client succeed.
So it's also about everybody being focused on ultimately the brand and the company winning, and feeling that that's the end goal, versus awards or my advertising being much better than my in-store presence, or it's about a common sense of purpose, a common sense of what success looks like.
When I was a marketing director of Go and then of EasyJet, the pressure. Job Peter Duffy's now doing at EasyJet. This sense of you're selling perishable inventory, airline seats that once the plane has taken off you can't ever sell again. Unless the people acting for you as on agencies, unless they sort of truly understand that, they'll never really be able to empathise with the sort of gnawing anxiety you have all the time.
I truly believe that clients get the creative work that they deserve, and behind every fantastic ad campaign that's out there is a great client, and behind every rubbish ad campaign out there is a rubbish client. And the responsibility of getting brilliant work that is going to push a company's marketing agenda forward rests 50% on the client organisation and 50% on the agency world.
We believe that creativity will make that commercial thing more successful, and we need to bring our own skills to the table. I expect to know my brands better than the agency will, and I expect them to be experts in fresh ways of engaging people. In today's era where long-form content, short-form content, blah, 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 blah. So we don't want to become each other.
Yes.
But we do really need to kind of understand each other.
So it can be easy for us to stereotype clients as being overly commercial at the expense of creativity, and reversing that for clients to stereotype agencies as being naively commercial. Yet, as we can see from some of these clips, we know that a true alliance or partnership is where commercial creativity should be the bigger shared purpose. Alliances based on trust are more adaptive and more open to opportunity, and this in turn produces great work that works, a win-win. And a recent study by Appraise is the data to prove this. So we aim to expose what the alliance of commercial creativity means for all of us and how we need to adapt to what a model client-agency partnership should look like. Now to the second letter on ADAPT, D for deliverables. Sir John Hegarty is known for championing the creative idea, but he's also fond of saying that creativity doesn't just reside in an agency's creative department and the end deliverable of ads. It applies to the whole commercial process and its various constituent parts. We don't have a monopoly on creative ideas or the media that delivers them. Teenagers in bedrooms up and down the country are changing that. But what we do have is our professional expertise and commercial experience to understand how to reach consumers, engage with them, and involve them in conversations. And we need to evolve and adapt our deliverables to meet these new and exciting opportunities. Moving on to the second A for actions. As an industry, we are increasingly recognising that we are spending too much time and money on pitches. The IPA and ISBA have been working for some time on best pitch practice, but we should aim to build on this and evolve when and how we pitch. We should aim to be looking to extend client agency partnerships through better and more regular relationship reviews. The IPA is currently also in dialogue with clients about modern briefing. This is an exciting development because in the context of commercial creativity, when it comes to taking on the business, do we get commercial enough briefings from our clients? What more can we do from client briefing to production and media placement to make us all more agile, more open to innovation and experimentation? Look at the Oreo Super Bowl example to see how an agency and client can work together to create live content and immediate fame. Can we start acting more like real-time publishers? Can newcomers to the industry provide a future vision of what's possible, trusting them to contribute to the new ways of adapting old processes that we have been using for too long? Can we take evaluation to a new level to create a culture of effectiveness throughout, as opposed to after the event? How can we work with clients and research partners to develop real-time models fit for the social world we are now living in, not the past? Now, more questions than answers. Of course there are. But here in this second series of clips are some of our client counsel giving their thoughts.
When you move your mind away from, this is the identity, the color palette, the font, the exclusion zones, it is sacred, do not touch it, to, you know what, this is what it is, but the only meaning attached to it is based on what you feel and think about it, so why don't I make you part of it? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think it's a slightly different way of thinking about brands.
I think some of the most interesting conversation I have are with media agencies, who when a media agency says it's about the idea, they actually mean about genuine touch points, they generally mean about immersion, they mean about dwell time, they mean about spending time with the consumer.
The big one for me, and I started there, is ruthless through the line execution and getting everybody really working together and seeing they're all part of the customer communications, end to end versus silos. And every organisation has their silos, and some are deeper and worse than others.
So what's your business problem? Which is the question we should always start with. Yeah. What's the thing you want to achieve? And as we become big clients, big agencies, and we become subsumed in the pursuit of awards and process, and sometimes you just lose that really simplistic, in the client's several-page brief. Don't forget to tell them what the problem is in the first place.
Well, in terms of ways of working, there's the Hollywood model where teams come together, make a film, wrap up, move on, make another film, come together. You have ensembles of people, you might have celebrities, and you've got a studio in the background. But it's a very, very flexible system, and it just sort of rolls and seems to work for them.
Why we launched so many things in beta because we say, you know what, this is this thing, and we think there's something interesting in here, and you know what, we'd like to see if you think it's interesting, and if you don't, maybe it'll go away. If you do, help us build it together. And that's a very different way, like you were talking about the Oreo thing. It's a very different way of approaching it.
We have been very declarative to the industry that, you know, we're increasingly going to develop ideas that are not TV-centric. Doesn't mean to say that we're moving away from TV, but particularly for a teenage target audience that are walking around with their mobile phones kind of stapled to their palms, starting with traditional media just doesn't cut it for us. So now there are pockets of traditional thinking in the industry, and there are pockets of traditional thinking in the marketing community. But as I say, I think the responsibility to change the creative output on any brand is as much to do with the client as it is to do with the agencies.
The fourth letter is P. P for profit, and that other often used P word, procurement. The end result we're all looking for is to drive growth and profitable returns for both clients and agencies. Now, agency business and remuneration models are an area that have long been discussed and debated. And based on your feedback, though, this is still a really hot topic. So it needs to be pushed along with the involvement of clients' procurement and marketing departments. We have moved through various stages of commission to fees to performance-related bonuses and such like. We've discussed revenue share and looked into IP and licensing. Biddable media, ad exchanges and trading desks are emerging. So there is no one formula that fits all, but an appetite for evolving the current remuneration practice is evident and is already under discussion between the IPA, ISBA and SIPS. But it needs more profile, more senior engagement and more audacious ambitions and goals. The final letter, T, is for talent, and last but perhaps the most important of all. For this is an industry that without its talent, without you, is nothing at all. Clients want our professional expertise and commercial experience. They also want our ambition, confidence and success. We also need to make sure we are attracting, developing and retaining the best and most diverse talent in our industry. And I'm delighted that Nicola's Creative Pioneers will continue to evolve and expand under my presidency. And when I say diversity, I mean across gender, race, class, culture and nationality. We also need to attract and build more diverse skills. Look at the roles we have in agencies now: creative technologists, data scientists, content strategists and more. So as our products evolve, so will our skills and roles. And under my watch, we will be offering even more digital training, building on the connections established by Nicola with Google, Facebook and Twitter. We will also be offering more joint training and qualifications with our clients, as well as encouraging work placements and job swaps to foster greater mutual understanding. Here are some final thoughts from our client interviewees.
To be honest, I've been at Coke now for 6 years, and in that time I've seen an erosion of confidence from the advertising industry, and it breaks my heart because I think it's incredibly short-sighted of the marketing community to beat up on the advertising industry because, you know, we need creativity and we see creativity as an absolute competitive advantage. So what we want, what the Coca-Cola company want, a massive confidence with our advertising agency partners, confidence that they're going to develop massive ideas and that those ideas will perform well in marketplace. And if we get big ideas performing well in marketplace, then through our compensation model, which we call BBC, then there is a genuine opportunity for advertising agency partners to earn up to 30% margin on our business.
It's very difficult to find the right formula, so I'm not, but I have tried actively to try and help that process by looking at the right formula and trying to reward success, and for that the agency who helped you achieve it to share in that success. Now sometimes it's very difficult to find the right deal because of the fixed costs of an agency and the need to deliver, and of course I'm pretty familiar with how to do that, and what an agency is prepared to put at risk. And invariably they want to put less at risk because they've got all the fixed costs. And they want to be able to deliver a margin. If they're publicly quoted, they need to deliver the margin and the right result for their holding company and so on. So I get that. It's very difficult to put very much at risk.
If there's a contract where the relationship is sufficiently commercial and elevated that you're demonstrably delivering top-line growth or finding ways to save money, your example of, reducing contact centre traffic, etc., then people are going to get paid, and I think people are going to make money.
So there's something about the recession has created a cloud over what ought to be a very fertile environment in the UK. And that cloud is still hanging over us a little bit. And as I travel around the world, so most of my travel is to the emerging world, I go to Nigeria or India or Brazil, Vietnam, you meet agency people who are less capable but have bigger ambition.
I think it's a level of maturity and confidence. I think, creative people are always, always feeling, low self-esteem. I mean, that's why you're creative probably, because you're never really at ease with yourself and your ability.
So very strongly, I believe that agencies should be more interested in the results, and if they are, then they should be remunerated for achieving them. So there is a virtuous circle here. You take more interest in what the outcomes are, and you put some skin in that game. You should be rewarded for it. Now, clients are guilty, very guilty, in my view, of insisting on some kind of incentive, and then at the end of the day, thinking of all the reasons they shouldn't pay it.
First of all, the industry has to get its swagger back. And I don't know how the industry gets its swagger back, but we need a confident, dynamic, progressive industry that knows how to attract and retain talented people.
So, there you have it, the ADAPT of ADAPT, and the beginnings of what we're going to build across the next 2 years. Now, as you can see, we intend to create a lot of debate. You probably didn't agree with everything they said. Yeah, but the whole point is to get this debate, to get us talking, to get us working together. And to follow up with clear and actionable thought leadership and best practice about how we as an industry should adapt for everyone at large to share, comment and act upon. And where's this all heading? Well, to the creation, ideally, of a new commercial creative contract between clients and agencies to act as a guide for our mutual gain. Now, I make no apologies for my agenda focusing on the practical, the action-orientated. I've never been one for ideology, or as Charles knows, over-intellectualisation. And trust by the end of my 2 years that throughout our combined actions, we will have helped our industry to move into a new phase of confidence and prosperity. He says swagger. A new era of commercial creativity, where we've evolved and adapted with our clients for the benefit of all. So those of us who went to the Advertising Association's Lead Summit earlier this year know that a healthy advertising industry means a healthy economy, which in turn leads to a healthy advertising industry, a self-fulfilling cycle. And who amongst us doesn't want that? Thank you for listening, and I look forward to you joining me on the journey. Now you can enjoy your pud.
I think it's a huge agenda that Ian's taken on board, and he's brave to do it, but it's needed. I think the combination of promoting creativity of the member agencies and then linking that to the value they create at the end of the day is imperative, it's crucial for our industry. And then looking at the talent that's needed and moving that talent forward to make it happen, I think is a huge role, and I'm sure, knowing Ian, he will definitely be able to achieve it.
I'm really excited about Ian's agenda that he's just talked about. I think it's really the right time to be working with clients to tackle some of the really big issues that are facing the industry today, and I think with Ian at the helm, we're going to have the absolute right person to make sure we embrace them.
I think the focus on commercial creativity is really important, and it was really interesting hearing Ian talk about his kind of his career to date, and that story, and also arriving at the fact that commercial creativity is vital to today's industry, and I think it absolutely is. And I think them putting a focus on it is a really positive thing.
I thought it was an excellent agenda. I mean, an incredibly hard act to follow in terms of what Nicola has done, but really setting out a positive and forward-facing agenda for the really tough and rapidly changing times that this industry faces.
I thought it was really very sensible, because I think it's really easy as agencies to forget that we're here for commercial creativity. That is the core of what we do. So I think that was brilliant that he actually talked about that, because I think it's easy to forget. And I think in terms of having alliances with clients, for me that was the key thing that came across, because as well as having to adapt in the world generally, but I think we forget that our clients are, again, what we're here for, and we're never going to be them and they should never be us, as they said in the films, but we do need to remember their needs, and I think seeing their point of view could really help what we develop. So for me that came across very strongly.
The key things for me were both asking clients about what they think, because I think that's really important, and I don't think we do enough of that. So I was really intrigued by that, and actually having done it in advance, I thought it was really worthwhile. And I hope that the IPA listen to clients more. I also would say that one of the things, as somebody who works in a regional agency, the key thing for us is the commercial delivery, so making a profit, which is a tough thing to do, but I think the focus on that is really important.
Coming from a digital agency myself, I absolutely welcome a broader approach to embracing and continuing the work that Nicola did in working with Google, but looking at how we can adapt more and how our business models can change to provide success for both agencies and clients, which is, after all, what we're in business to do.
One of the things that really resonated with me about the agenda was the whole area of pitching and the amount of money that the industry is currently spending in this area. And I really hope and I really believe that Ian is the right person that's going to address this part of his agenda and make it better for the entire industry.